gone, far gone. So let's just quickly look at how to answer questions quickly. Do you get it? Since you do your own personal reading, please do. Let's just go through these chapters. I've done chapter 1 and chapter 2, which is on YouTube. So let me go.
Yeah, I already watched them.
Please watch them. So once I'm done with this, I will upload it also. Now, agriculture and its environment, that's chapter 3. First, look at this first question. It said, the table contains data on phosphate fertilizers used with different crop types. Now, there's a crop type, you have percentage world phosphate fertilizers used, you have it here. Now, if you add all these values together, you find out that it will give you 100. That's 44 plus 18 plus 8 plus 4 plus 26 will give you 100. Now, the first question here, which is a 4-mark question, you can see they said, complete the pie chart and the key to show the data in the table. So we need to represent this data on this table. So all you need to do is first label it like it's 100. So this will be 10. If this is now 20, we have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Then coming back, we give you 100. So now, the first thing here we have is grain. So you have a key. A key is used to separate which represent which. So I can decide to say 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 will represent my grain. Then oil seed, let me use my name, initial, MM, will represent oil seed. And let me use yours, gift, gift, gift. We represent fruit and vegetables, fruit and vegetables. While cotton, let me use S since it's sugar and cotton, sugar and cotton. While other crops, let me use, okay, CCC, since I've used both for grains, CCC for other crops. Now, for me to represent this, I know my grains is 44. So this is your 0. So you start from 0.0 to this. Then this is 40. This is 10. So you have 10 in between 40 and 50. So 44 will be close to half of it, which is somewhere here. Then I put my 0, 0, 0, 0. Make sure you use your ruler so that it will be straight. I'm just using freehand. Then next is oil seed, and oil seed there is 18. So remember, this is 14. So I have 6 left. Then 6 plus 10, 16 plus 2 will give me 18. So that will be M for my oil seed. Then the next one is 8. So 2, I have 2 here, plus 8 will give me 70. So here I have my 8, which is fruit and vegetables. So I use letter G to represent it. Then next I have 4. So 4 will be before 5 to this side. And that is sugar, which we present using S. So the remaining one is 26. So this is 10, this is 20. Remember, I'll move forward, this is now 6. So we use C to represent other crops. So C here for other crops. Now, if you do this, that's all. You've gotten your 4 ripe mark. Now, they said there has been an increase in the use of phosphate fertilizer in the last 20 years. Give reason. Now, we've been able to, they told us, so you see, from here, we've been told that phosphate fertilizers is used with different crops. So if it's used with different crops, so you need it for food production. So now, describe why it has been increased. So if you need it for food production, why will food production increase? Is one, increase in food production. Increase in food production. Now, due to what? Due to increase in population. Now, they will have to increase the food production because there's increase in population, and phosphate fertilizers help in doing that. Another function of phosphate fertilizer is it increases the soil nutrient. So there will be more food can be produced to meet the need of the increasing population, which will now eventually help to reduce the rate of starvation. Now, look at this next question. They say the fact sheet present an argument. So it's an argument first. So take note of these keywords for not eating meat for environmental reasons. Now, let's go through the fact sheet. It is, they say not eating meat is the future of food production. It takes 7 kg of grains to produce 1 kg of beef. Now, this gives a ratio of 7 to 1. 7, that's 7 grain is equal to 1 beef, which is meat. For beef, the ratio for chicken is 2:1. So 2 grain is equal to the ratio of 1 beef. I mean 1 chicken, sorry, 1 chicken. Now, producing meat also uses a large quantity of water. That's this amount for 1 kg of beef. Now, meat production also releases carbon dioxide, 27 kg of carbon dioxide for 1 kg of beef. Now, it is more efficient to obtain food from plants rather than animal. From this, you will know, because the cost for production of animals is quite higher than that of plant. Now, 1 kg of what is called lentils releases only 0.9 kg of carbon dioxide. Calculate the difference in carbon dioxide release in the production of 1 kg of beef and 1 kg of lentil. Now, for beef, the amount of carbon dioxide produced is 27. So 27 minus for lentil is 0.9. 0.9, the answer will give you 26.1 kg. That's all. Now, they say, suggest why the production of chicken is less expensive than the production of beef. Now, if you look at this, you find out that for you to produce, it takes 7 kg of grain to produce 1 kg of beef. Now, it takes 2 kg of grain to produce 1 kg of chicken. So obviously, suggest why the production of chicken is less expensive. So obviously, chicken production is less expensive because of this. It takes 2 kg of grain to produce 1 kg of chicken. That's all. Now, the next question is, you need to also look at this. There's an animal in a head of beef cattle produces this amount of beef. Calculate the volume of water. So you come back. For you to produce 1 kg of beef, you need this volume, these liters of water, which is 15415. So if you come here, we have 15415 for 1 kg. So to produce this kg, it will be 1 times this total, which is 375. Any answer it gives you, that's what it is. Now, they say suggest 2 reasons why some farmers continue to raise. Suggest 2 reasons why some farmers continue to raise livestock rather than grow crops, even if it is more efficient to grow crops. So why do you still decide now? One major reason is for growing crops. No land for growing crops. It might be that the soil is not fertile, and once the soil is not fertile, it will not be suitable for growing crops. Another thing is, there might be that the demand for livestock is higher than crops. Now, with that, you are cool. Gift, are you there? Hello, Gift.
Hello.
Are you there? Do you understand what we are doing, please?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's look at the second question. Now, they said the photograph shows terracing. So they've told you it's terrace, which is a method of reducing soil erosion. Now, there are different methods of reducing soil erosion. which include: 1, you have terracing; 2, you have contour plowing; 3, you have when you have bonds; 4, you have growing vegetations. So when you have vegetation cover, you find out that the soil cannot be washed away easily. 5, you can also have trees. Trees help to act as windbreak. You know, soil erosion is the movement of soil from one point to another. So things that enable it to be moved away are usually things like water and wind. So anything that can stop that, and anything that can form an embankment to hold the soil behind, are factors that help to reduce soil erosion. So now they've told us is terracing. Now terracing has to do with, they now say describe how this method reduces soil erosion. Now if you look at this, the slope is built in the form of what? Steps. So you see, steps are created. Now what these steps does is, another thing is, it reduces the speed of moving water. It reduces the speed of flow. Now, and once that is done, you find out that the soil behind. That's it. So the soil cannot be washed away. Now, next is, they say state 2 other methods that can be used to reduce soil erosion. I've stated them up there. Things like when you have your contour plowing. Another one is when you have trees, plant trees, which will act as windbreak. Another one, you have afforestation, and afforestation cover. All these will help to control things like soil erosion. Then next, let's go another question. This is, now they say an article from a farming magazine. An article from a farming magazine is about a new genetically modified crop. New genetically modified crops. So these are crops where you've been able to alter their genetic makeup in order to get a desired characteristics from them. So let's read what it is about. First, it is said that Brazil latest genetically modified soya beans is about to be planted for the first time. Now, the new genetically modified soybeans is resistant to a range of herbicides. So they are resistant to herbicides. So obviously, if they are resistant to herbicide, that's an advantage. Now, and produces larger yield than non-genetically modified soybeans. This is another what? Advantage. Now, soybeans are eaten by humans and animals. Now, the new genetically modified soybeans will be exported to 17 countries, including China, which is the largest global importer of soybeans. Brazilian scientists are one of the world's leading developers of genetically modified crops. Brazil is the second largest grower of genetically modified crops in the world, with over 43 million hectares currently in production, of which 29 million hectares are genetically modified crops. So calculate the percentage of current area of genetically modified crop in Brazil that is used for growing soybeans. So that is simple. For this is the total, and this is for soybeans. So it will be soybeans divided by the total, which is 43 times 100. That will give you your answer. So do that, you are good. Now, they said, suggest 2 reasons why the development of new genetically modified crop will benefit the economy of Brazil. Now, one major way to benefit the economy, if you look at this, they said the new genetically modified crop will be exported to 17 countries. So, and once it is exported, what will happen? So the government will derive money from it. And this money can be used to develop the economy and build various infrastructure. Those are 2 basic we've just mentioned too. Now, more money for the farmers. And another thing is you can now look at the benefit of this genetically modified crop, because if you look up here, there is something that said which I identify as one benefit. is this: it is resistant to herbicides. That's another advantage. So if it's resistant to herbicide, the government don't need to produce more herbicides in order to produce soybeans. Now, suggest one way of controlling weed in a field where the new genetically modified soybeans crop are growing. Now, remember they said they are resistant to herbicides. So you cannot say herbicide can be used again in controlling it because it's resistant. Now, another way you can control weed is you can use cultural method. Cultural method, an example of cultural method is you use your hand to remove the weed. Use your hand to remove the weed. Another method you could use is the biological method, biological control method. Please take note of this. Thank you. Now, here we have, they said the table shows the value of genetically modified soybeans crop in Paraguay from 2002 to 2015. So we have the year and we have the crop value in million USD. They say calculate the average crop value for the period of 2011 to 2015. So this is 2011 from here down to here. So all you need to do, the average will be, the value here will be 60.5 plus 85.7 plus 94. Divide by, how many is there? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divide by 5. We give you our answer. Now, 2 here, they say describe the trend in crop value from 2002 to 2015. Now, to describe the trend is, I used to say what you can see. First, you see, from 2002 to 2009, there was what? An increase in crop value. So from 2002 to 2009, you have increase in crop value, increase in crop value, increase in crop value. You can now put data from 13.4 million USD. Always remember your unit, million USD to, in 2009 we have 87.8. Now you can bring in another point. You find out that from 2009 to 2010, 2009 to 2010, there was a decrease here, and from 2010 it increases again down to what, 2014. Then from 2014 to this, there was a decrease. So you just need to write what you can see. It's as simple as that. Now here they said some people disagree with the use of genetically modified techniques for food production. Now, discuss the environmental advantages and disadvantages of introducing genetically modified crops. So here you are looking at 2 things: advantage and disadvantage. So it's simple. What I expect you to do is in order for you not to be confused, you can put your answers in paragraph. Then the first paragraph you talk about the advantages. Then the second paragraph you can talk about the disadvantages. But in this case, you can just create a subheading in order for you not to be confused. And each subheading, I can write advantages. Now, advantages of using GM crop is that it has a shorter growing period. You can have drought-resistant crops. They can be drought-resistant. They can be pest-resistant. They can be herbicide-resistant. Another thing is they can grow to have more nutrients. Now you cannot bring in disadvantage. One disadvantage is lead to development of superweed. Another thing is the impact on human is still under review. The impact on human is Still not known yet. So this is it basically. This will give you that full mark. Question number 4 here. Gift, are you there, please? Hello, Gift. Hello? Gift?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
You are still there, right?
Yeah.
Now, please, do you have any question, please, before we continue with question?
No.
So we can fire down.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so let's look at this question now. It states that during 2011, the world population reached 7 billion. The world population continued to increase. State 2 strategies for controlling world population. Strategies for controlling world population should give me 2 strategies. There's a lot of stuff running through my head. How do you control population?
How do I? You're cracking.
You said?
I said you're cracking, Mr. Matthew.
Okay.
Your network is bad.
To answer this question, 2 strategies for controlling population growth.
Hello. Hello.
I can hear you. 2 strategies for controlling population growth.
I should answer which question?
First one, A, 2 strategies for controlling population growth.
Huh?
This one.
Yeah, really cracking.
Give me
Okay, don't worry.
2 reasons. 2 strategies, if you can remember.
Okay, that child, is it child? That child registration as for like 1 child to a family.
Another one.
Educate people.
Okay, so
about educate people about families or family planning. Yeah.
So you can also look at population policy. I feel that's what you wanted to say.
That time, yeah, I was trying to find the word, but yeah,
okay. So also use of contraceptives and condoms. You can also bring in things like legalize abortion, whichever. Okay, now that's just a pop-up question. It's not what we're supposed to be looking at, but that's good. Now, the increasing population means that there is a shortage of food in some part of the world. Describe how the use of fertilizer can increase food production. So fertilizer, I've answered the question related to this when we looked at phosphate earlier. So first, find out that fertilizers will help to increase the soil nutrient, which will eventually lead to increase in food production. Now, describe how overuse of fertilizer can impact river ecosystem. Now, the first reason you should write here is because when you apply fertilizer to a farm, I think I explained this in our last class, and there is excess rainfall, the fertilizers will be washed away into the river, and the first impact it will cause is what is referred to as eutrophication. Now, what does that, then once you know, then you explain what it means. If you can't remember the word eutrophication and you explain what that means, what will happen in the river, you will still get your full mark. Now, the first thing there is, now there will be more nutrients in water. More nutrients in water, and what will that cause? Once there is more nutrients, it will now lead to algae bloom. Algae bloom. If you cannot remember algae, please just remember plants. Plants will grow faster. And the impact of this is, once plants grow faster, then you find out that sunlight will not be able to penetrate. Sunlight will not penetrate. And if sunlight can't penetrate, that means plants cannot photosynthesize. can't photosynthesize. And if they can't photosynthesize, that means they can't make their own food. So what will happen? So the plants will die. And once plants die, what will happen? Bacteria will decompose them, which will now reduce the amount of oxygen in water. Will decompose it, which will now lead to less oxygen. And if there is less oxygen, that means aquatic organisms will also die. Aquatic animals will die. That's it. Please, is this clear?
Yes.
Now, here I have another question. It said, oh, come up now, be fast, be fast, be fast. They said plants such as grass get their energy from the sun. Write the word equation for this process. So the process here is photosynthesis now. This is chapter 9. So please, I expect you to read it. And write the word equation for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is water plus oxygen. Yeah, welcome back. So please, this is where we pause. The equation for photosynthesis is simple. Water plus. If you write that, they say soil is a medium for plant growth. Yes, we know. Now complete the table to describe the features of that. We look at sandy, we look at clay, and we look at loamy soil. Silt, sorry, characteristics of sandy soils. So first, they say ease of cultivation is easy. No, organic content, this soil is low, but it has high mineral content, but low organic content. That is, then the water content in the soil is also low because it drains. So it drains, water can pass through it easily. Then, okay, sorry, this drain easily is even for this answer. Drainage, it drains because it has large air spaces. So water can, but drainage drains easily, water can pass through it easily. So that will give you 3 marks. They said the table shows world insecticide use 2014, then state the world region with the lowest insecticide use in 2014. So come to 20, that's Africa and Middle East. You just come here, Africa and in insecticide use in Asia and Oceania. Asia and Oceania, the increase in 2014 11,000. We give you the increase. That's around 1,820. That's all. Load, quick. Now, they say suggest 2 reasons why some regions use more insecticide than other world regions. So why do some places use it more while others don't? So possibly some regions lack. Now, another reason why you will not use it is possibly because your plant resistant insects, so you don't need insecticide. So that means there might be. Now, state 2 ways other than insecticide use to reduce the impact of pests on crops. I've stated control method, biological cultural method, and in cultural method is where you use your hands for that to help. Now we have this question, the next question here. Load. Now they say the photograph shows Africa. So this is part of a farm in Southern Africa. Now the question that follows it is, they said we should describe the vegetation shown on the photo. Say what you can see. So this photo, you can divide this photo into two parts. First, this is usually, and this part here should be the background. So if you want to describe the foreground here, you find out that it is what the vegetation here, it has, you find things like drought, vegetation has been cleared, there is poor vegetation within this area. Then if you look at the background, dense vegetation around the mountainous area. So within the mountainous area, the vegetation is more dense. So marks. Next question is, the farm in the photograph has had 4 years of dryness for area. So explain dryness, then plants will not grow. So less vegetation. And if there is less vegetation, you expect that there will be less food. And if there is, this will now lead to what? Starvation of the cattle. Another thing is absence of water, and that means what? Dehydration. So the cattle can die from dehydration also. Now, this next question is question 8. If you look at this, they said the photograph shows soil erosion, obviously, and the soil is being washed away. Here, there is no vegetation, so you find that it can be washed away easily in here, so it can be washed away too by water. Now, they say state one piece of evidence in the photograph that the soil, no vegetation. Another thing is you find out that here there is way by water. Close it, you met it close. Now, suggest 2 reasons why soil erosion has occurred in the area shown on the photograph. Now, I think I've stated your code. It's become clear, please. I need come on. Why is this not? So that's the reason why soil erosion has occurred. Now, there is absence of vegetation, so it can easily be washed away by wind and water. Another thing is, from that photograph, you can tell that there are gullies, which shows that it can easily, water has been, gullies indicate that the soil can easily be washed, and it has been washed away to form gullies. The absence of vegetation, so wind can actually move the soil away. Then describe what could be, it will help to reduce reduce soil erosion by wind. You can bring in things, I explained those stuff earlier, like terracing. You can create burrowing, contour plowing. All is, I said, the diagram. Why is this thing taking so long to load? Gift, are you there, please? And do you, if you don't understand anything I'm doing, just call me back. Now, the
Yeah,
diagram
there was
shows
also one question I said I was going to come and send to you, but I forgot. I'll send it later.
the diagram shows some steps leading to soil erosion. Now, so these steps all lead to soil erosion. One, increasing population and demand. So if there is increase in population, need for more house. So if you need to build house, now increase in population will need increase for food, and increase going to what? Produce more food. So all that will now lead to soil exposure, and as a result, it can be washed away. So that alone, these 2 activities will lead to decrease in vegetation. And once there is filtration, there is decrease in organic matter, and there is increase in surface runoff. Now, what this means is this will now lead to increased type of channel you saw in that diagram. Now, state the meaning of the term interception, infiltration, and surface runoff. Simple. Interception is when precipitation, such as held back, is held back by so they don't have direct contact with the soil. That's it. Or intercepted by three. I said sorry. Filtration is the movement of water into the soil. Movement of water, H2O. Am I this too fast? The soil. The surface runoff is the flow of water on the surface. Which of your work did you say you want to finish?
No, not finished. Like there was this thing I was reading, and I said that I was going to send it to you because I didn't understand it.
Okay, which stuff is that?
It was in that pack. You remember that pack that you gave us in year 10?
Yeah.
One of the packs.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was this question I saw, and I was like, "Oh, I was going to send it to you." But then I forgot because it was like that morning I was reading. So
Okay. Now, here we have they said explain why natural vegetation is decreasing. I've explained. So if there's increase in that means urbanization and also increase in population production, and if there's increase in food production, you have to clear vegetation. So there will be availability of land that can be used for cultivation. That's another reason. Now, they say the diagram says soil erosion has increased. Explain why soil erosion has increased. Then it is no trees, so it is now exposed to what? The wind. Interception. No more interception because you clear the vegetation, so the water will contact with soil. Water will have direct contact, so it can be washed away. Can be washed away. Do you get this, please?
yeah.
So which other one? No interception. There is another thing. There is no infiltration or slow infiltration. And once you cut it down and clear the vegetation, you find out that the tree roots will not be able to absorb water from the soil. So the water can easily flow on the surface. And if there is no tree, wind can easily blow the soil. And if the water is not absorbed and it's not infiltrated, there will be high amount of surface runoff. So you expect that the rate increase and it will actually be high. That's it. The next question is, so you find out that as we are going now, the questions, the patterns are now becoming similar. Now here, they say contour plowing is the best way for to reduce soil erosion. Please, I need you to follow me slowly because this question will come out definitely one of this format. It must not be contour plowing, but the question will come out in this format, which is 6 marks. Now, they say contour plowing is the best way to reduce soil erosion. Now, categorically, you don't know which one is the best way because there are different methods of control. So what they are looking at here is for you to argue this thing out. Now, when you argue with this thing out, that means you do not discuss about soil erosion alone. You look at the, you don't discuss about contour plowing alone. You look at the advantages of contour plowing, and you look at the disadvantages of contour plowing, and you now discuss other methods that are involved in soil erosion. Then you now write your conclusion. You link them back. So this type of question, you should use the peel method to answer it, please. P-E point. Then you look at the evidence. Then you explain. So if I'm answering this question, I'll just give, so you should answer it in paragraph. There are 6 marks. Look at 3 paragraphs and a conclusion. And you make sure you should break them down. We have things like you plant vegetation, you have trees, which will help to act as windbreaks. Now, if you have that already, these are other methods. So you just come. First, when you create ridges on slopes. Remember, terracing is building of steps on slopes. Why this is when it reduces the advantage, surface runoff of water. The soil is held back so they cannot move. However, expensive to build, or expensive to build or construct, can also cause leaching. So if you hold the water back, then nutrients can leach down into the soil. And if the water is held back, it can also expensive to build and construct. So water held back can cause leaching. Another reason is, so you can put full stop after I've described about it. I've explained it, link it back to my question. So before I end this, contour plowing can be a very useful method of controlling soil erosion to build it. However, I cannot include things like terracing and bonds, which is bonds are quite less expensive, and planting of vegetation that will help to reduce surface runoff and trees that will act as windbreaks. Now, you see, I've brought in those aspects into my explanation. So if you're able to do that, you've been able to look at both very important. And once you do that, you will definitely. Why is this thing not charging? Please. And 30,000 also is just the right impact. Yes, that makes it easy. Even online teaching, you now when they teach maths now, I need a pass. See, anything you can, I can change. I can change the color. Yes. No, no, really, we should find like that. No, no, no.
Hmm?
Then he thought he knows you somewhere before. If he be the same at if you don't teach her before. Hello.
Who? Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Question. Which school
Yeah.
are you in right now?
Which school am I in right now?
Yes.
Oh, I don't go to school.
Wow.
But I went to OMC.
Aha! OMC. So you finished from OMC? Or you're still there?
Pardon?
You finished when?
Yeah, I finished from OMC.
It was her sister that possibly the name. Her sister was not that name for entrance exam. Yeah, it's the surname that. Okay, no, I'll give you the number. So see. This question now, they said the diagram shows the relative size of mineral particles found in soil. So first is look at sand, silt, clay. Now determine the diameter of the sand particles shown in the diagram. So here, this is 0 and this is 2. So you look at this, you draw it downwards and downwards. So if you look at this, this is 0.5, this is 1, this will be 1.5. So between here and here, you have like 1 millimeter. Do you get that? Hello?
Yeah.
Good. Now, there's a state 2 other component of soil apart from mineral particles shown in the diagram. 2 components of soil apart from mineral particles shown in this diagram. Which component can I bring out shown in this diagram? So particle size, mineral particles found. Is 2 components of soil shown in this diagram. Can you think of any other components, please? I know components, we can look at possibly organic matter. If they've looked at components, you can look at mineral particles. We can look at size. True or false? Particle size. God bless you. Let me check the mark scheme for this question. It looks kind of confusing. That's question number. You said?
Yeah, I said yeah.
I've done up to 6, 7. Terrace contour line interception. Done that. Okay. Okay. I said it. So we got organic matter is there. I said organic matter, but I failed this too. After mineral particles, you have soil, air, soil, water. But why I was confused with this question is, I was thinking of, how will I put it? I was thinking of the diagram. I cannot see water. And air, do you get it?
So they're saying you should write just
from
for like in general and not based on the diagram.
So basically, I can bring in now the need air, also water can be a component. So quickly, let's see. Describe 4 difference between sandy soil and clay soil other than particle size. So without particle size, remember, we can look at drainage. Sandy soil, as we stated earlier, drain faster than clay soil, right? Another thing is organic content, organic matter. In organic matter, you find out that sandy soil has less humus, less organic matter than clay soil. Clay soil have more organic matter. Another thing is, if you look at soil, air, sandy soil has more air component, more air, is more aerated than clay soil. If you look at organic matter drainage, soil, air, if you look at ease of cultivation, this can easily be cultivated than this. However, if you look at water, amount of water, this, okay, that's drainage. This water move, while this hold more water in it. Let me see. Sandy soil drain more. Okay, we got that. More air spaces. There are more air spaces. Why am I forgetting about this? Then clay soil are usually more fertile. Yes, it has more humus than sandy soil. Sandy soil is easy to work. I got that right. So you can farm sandy soil more than clay soil. But in terms of, okay, I've said air. There is something I missed. Fertile air spaces. Okay, we did that. So that's it. Another question here is this. They said the table shows some data for a type of soil. State the type of soil described. Particle size is large, air content is high, water drain quickly. That's sandy soil, right? And gift. I said you understand that this is characteristics of sandy soil, right? You're looking at it already.
I understand that this is can I take it?
Now, some type of soil are better suited for growing crops than other types of soil. Yes. Suggest two disadvantages of growing crops in a quickly draining soil compared with a soil that drains more slowly. Suggest two disadvantages of crop. So, if the crop, if the soil drains quickly, then there will be less water in the soil to be absorbed by the plant root. To be absorbed by plant root. Another reason may be since it drains quickly, there will be leaching of nutrients. There will be leaching of nutrients, so that means there will be less nutrients in the soil. That's it. Then this question is now describe two techniques used to increase agricultural yield. How about we've done that? Mechanization, you use herbicides, you use pesticides, you use genetically modified crops. Any of that will give you your answer. All those will help to increase food production. Now, people need a clean supply of safe drinking water, which are potable water. State two ways water can be made potable. That water can be made clean. You can do sewage treatment. Now, you can also add what is called chlorine. So they call it chlorination. You can do saline, what is this stuff called? When you remove the salt content from water, well, you can do fractional distillation. You can do what is called the reverse osmosis. All this will help to purify the water. So next question here is this. They say the table shows, do I need to explain how you need to plot a graph? Do you need to learn this again?
No.
Good.
I know how to.
That's 4-mark question.
We already did one in chapter 1 now.
Yes. So some places, some plants and cut flowers are grown intensively. When you grow something intensively, that means there is more input. That means if you want to put fertilizer, you put more. Then because of there is more input, you expect that your harvest to be more. So you have more output. That is what intensive farming is. Now, this requires large amount of insecticide. You see, insecticide is large input to control pests. Describe two possible effects of overuse of insecticide on the local environment. So if it's the environment, if you use insecticide, obviously insecticide is meant to kill insects. So if insects are killed, what will happen? It will destroy the food chain or food web. Destroy the food web. If insects are killed also, remember insects help in pollination of these flowers to produce seed. So if insects are killed, there will be less insect for pollination. So those are impact. Then here, they say two students are discussing the water availability in Kenya. Now, those 6-mark question comes in this format or in the format I just have explained. Now, in their discussion, they said big farms must have water to grow plants for export. Now, they said this could affect the water available for local people. Yes, because of big farms. Now, they say it's possible for these big farms and local people to both have all the water they need. It just take a bit of planning. These are two different people arguments. Let's say A and B. Now they say suggest strategy for ensuring a reliable supply of water for all people in Kenya. This is simple now. They're just asking you method of water supply. So you can bring in things like boreholes. You can bring in things like well. You can bring things like reservoirs. You can bring things like borehole, well, reservoirs. You can bring things like sewage treatment. Sewage treatment. You can bring things like rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting. Now, these are methods of water supply. Now, justify your reason, your answer. So all these methods, you now link it to their arguments. You look at both sides. So big farms can actually invest in what? Reservoir and sewage treatment plant. And big farms should use the dirty water, while the clean water can now be sent to what? The local people for consumption. Now they can also, the local people can be told to build wells and boreholes can be drilled for them to use in their various houses. And also the waste produced from the local people can be sent to the treatment plant for it to be treated and also sent back and used by the farms. So that's it. You write about that, you get this full mark. It's simple as that. Do you get me, please? Gift, do you get this explanation I just did?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. So you get your full mark. It's just little skills. Now, I have less than 5 minutes. Let me see. Will that be enough to do this? Okay. Let's see where I stop. We'll log out. We'll log in again. Then we'll finish this. It's just like 5 more pages left. Now, the photograph shows part of a large field. This is the field. Now, if you look at this, they said circle 2 words that best describe the type of agriculture that's. If you look at this is a single, so it should be commercial, because commercial is when you cultivate to sell to make profit, and it cannot be because of arable, because this should be, there is no animal here, so it should be growing of crops. Remember, pastoral is growing of animals. Mix is when you grow crops and animals. Then subsistence is when you cultivate for consumption. Commercial is when you cultivate to farm. Then they say, explain why this field is at risk of erosion. If you look at it, it is what? The soil is exposed. So here you find out that the soil is exposed. Another thing, there is no tree. So it can be washed away by wind. Soil is exposed, no vegetation cover, soil exposed, no trees, so it can be washed away by wind. If there is rainfall, there will be no interception by trees. So this water will have direct contact with the soil, so soil erosion can take place. That, yeah, cool. Then here they said a farmer stated that crop rotation is a good method to ensure sustainable agriculture. Describe other management strategies for sustainable agriculture outside what? Crop rotation. Now, a farmer stated that crop rotation is good. Now, they say describe other methods to make agriculture sustainable. Now, one method is to use the triple drip irrigation method. Now, if you use triple drip irrigation method, what it will do is that the soil will not become salinized, and there'll be all-round production. Another method is, instead of using pesticide now, because they also affect the environment, it's not sustainable, you can use biological control method. Biological control method will help. And you can also use cultural method, where you use your hand to remove the crops. Cultural methods will also help in making agriculture sustainable. Another way you can make it sustainable, you do things like you can cultivate using hydroponic method of cultivation, where you cultivate plant in water. I think we looked at that also, without in the absence of soil. That can also be encouraged. It will help. Another thing is you can use you can use organic fertilizers, organic manures, because they help to reduce eutrophication. So it cannot be washed easily into water body and affect it. So that's, if you remember all this, is 5 marks, and you develop them, you definitely get your full mark. But let's look at other methods if it's available. I have less than. Let's look at other methods outside this one. Let's go to the mark scheme quickly. So you see, here, look at what they said. They said you use organic fertilizer, you manage grazing. I think I didn't put that. Use of pest-resistant and drought-resistant crop, trickle drip irrigation, rainwater harvesting, only growing crops that meet the need of. Um, is that the answer to my question? The need of that particular. That's it. Area. Now, gift. Are you there? Hello, gift.
I'm here. I'm here.
Good. So please, I have less than 1 minute, so I'm going to stop this particular Zoom class. Then you join it.
Oh, okay.
So we just have 4 more pages. I think this question came out in this one you guys just wrote. So let's look at this one.
Okay. All right. So please post it too.
Okay, now I think this set of questions from here downwards that I want to look at are 2022 questions. The one that came out in May. So the first thing is that is related to this topic. I said the photograph shows a pond. Remember, when I've been looking at method that controls soil erosion, I've been mentioning ponds, terrace, contour plow, vegetation, plant wind, trees to act as windbreak, vegetation cover, so there will be less runoff, and trees for interception also. Now, this is a pond. Here, they said, use the photograph to explain why some farmers use ponds. So if you look at this pond here, can you see that the water is trapped? So first, it helps to trap water. This trap water can be used for, which can be used, you can use it for irrigation. Now the trap water, this pond can also reduce, it can help to reduce soil erosion. That's all. That's question number 2. Question number 1, the first question in the exam you guys wrote. Now, describe how pond in the photograph is constructed. How is it constructed? By building this stuff are called ridges. So by building ridge, look at it, it's a ridge. That's all. So just one disadvantage of ponds. The disadvantage is it's expensive. It's expensive to build. And if you look at building that stuff, look at the farmer face. Looks tired. So it's expensive and it's time consuming. And
Someone, did you just say that the man looks tired?
the man looks tired. To let you know that it takes a lot of time, it's time consuming and a lot of energy. Now, this other question, I think, came out, I think, in paper, but all is 2022, I guess. Variant 1, 2. That one is variant 1, 1, the one you guys wrote. This is variant 1, 2. I think variant 1, 3, and 1, 1 is the same thing. Now, agriculture can be divided into three main types: arable, mixed, and pastoral, which we've looked at earlier. Now, complete the table using the word shown to match the description to the types of agriculture. Growing of crops is arable. Raising animals, pastoral. Growing crops and raising animals, mixed. That's all. Describe the difference between commercial and subsistence farming. Commercial is when you cultivate to sell to make profit, while subsistence is when you cultivate to consume for you and your family. That's all. There are stage 2 problem caused by mismanagement of irrigation. So here they are asking you for disadvantage of irrigation. Mismanagement, it can cause things like leaching of nutrients, so it can wash away the nutrients in the soil. Now, irrigation can also cause salinization of the soil. That means the soil will have high amount of salt, which will no longer be suitable for cultivation. Now, mismanagement also, like flood irrigation, can make the soil waterlogged and eventually lead to erosion, also soil erosion. So it can cause soil erosion, that's the soil can be washed away. Now, describe how crop rotation and selective breeding of plants can be used to increase agricultural yield. So if you are asked, how can you increase agricultural yield? This is another tool. I know we stated some earlier when we treated those 5 questions, that 5-mark question, but another way is crop rotation and selective breeding. Now, in crop rotation is when different crop is cultivated each year. You cultivate different types of crop on the same piece of land. Now, you write that first, because the first thing is, once you are given this type of question, just define what it is. Different types of crop is cultivated on a piece of land each year. Then it's the advantage of that is it allows the soil to regain its nutrients. So some of these plants, like leguminous plants, help in replenishing the nutrients in the soil. That's a major advantage of this crop rotation. Then selective breeding is when you select the particular characteristics from the plant, and you cultivate a set of plants that will now have that particular feature. That's it. But let me look at the mark scheme. So if there are more points, you need to pick from it. Okay, you see, like here they say crop rotation, planting different crops each year. Now the advantage is, you see, it maintains the soil fertility. So that will give you 2 marks, because this type of question here, you can get 3 marks here and 1 here. So you are cool with it. Now it reduces pest. Also, crop rotation helps to reduce pest. And one crop is beneficial to the next crop. Like leguminous crop can be beneficial to planting cereals like maize. While in selective breeding, when you have any two from breeding plants for desired traits, I mentioned that. Now, when you do selective breeding, you can breed plants that are drought resistant, that are pest resistant. You can breed plants that are faster in growth, so you have speed of growth is faster, and also the size of the fruit can also be larger. Now, the next question here is on, let me see. Okay, the next question here is this. They said the fact sheet contains information about the pricky pear cactus in Australia. This is it. Pricky pear cactus in Australia. Now, they say the pricky pear cactus is a native to the Americas. When it was brought to Australia, it spread rapidly, covering millions of hectares of land. Now, farmers unsuccessfully, that means they unsuccessfully tried several methods of controlling the cactus. Eventually, the cactus moth from South America was introduced. The larva of this moth ate the cacti and successfully reduced it. So this is a biological method because they use another organism to control it. So this is the moth that was introduced that successfully ate it. Now, the first question is, suggest why the prickly pear cactus spread rapidly. The reason why it will be spread rapidly in Australia is because possibly there is a suitable climate. So possibly the temperature is suitable for growth. And also another reason why it will grow rapidly is possibly there is the nutrient in the soil makes it to grow rapidly. Another reason is, remember they said it's dominant, so there is another reason why it will grow is that there is no predator, nothing to feed on it. And also possibly there is no natural competitor in the environment. So that will also suit their growth. Another question here is, suggest the impact the prickly pear cactus on the farmlands in Australia. Now, since it grew rapidly and they could not control it, it covered millions of hectares of farmlands. So it is now more like a super weed. So the problem is it will reduce the amount of farmland that is needed for food production. That's an impact. Now it is a weed, so it will compete with other plants and also their nutrients. That's suggest, because we're just suggesting that's the major impact. Then lastly, the last question on this chapter 3 is, state the type of control that they use another organism to control it. So that's biological control. So, gift. Hello, gift.
Hello?
Yes, so I'm done with this chapter 3. So please, if the question you say you want to ask me, you can send it on WhatsApp. You can snap it and send it. I'll try my best to answer it and refer back to you. I will upload these ones now and send you the link to rewatch it. Then
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
you. So I'll just go and look for the question I sent to you.
Yes, I will also I'm going to do, can you listen? I'm going to do chapter 4.
Yeah, I'm here.
And upload
chapter 4.
Yes, this is, I've done chapter 1, chapter 2. I'm going to do chapter 4.
Yeah.
And upload it.
Okay.
You also watch it. Then tomorrow,
all right,
find time again and do chapter 5.
Okay, all right. So you just be sending me the link.
Yeah, I'll send you the link and do chapter 5 also. So please, I beg you, see,
all right, thank you.
Study. I've done a lot of past papers on my YouTube, full past papers. You can watch them. Help you. Just keep watching them. I've been looking at past papers and the marks. Once you keep doing that, before this exam is on Friday, today's Monday is gone. So so please, as we go off, before your maths teacher will come by 4, just try and study. Just try and study in between 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Just be looking at those.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
All right. Okay.